This is all covered. This is all covered under the governor's proclamation of several years ago. And we'll dispense with all the minutia. And we will get started. And it looks like the place to start is where we lost contact last meeting, and that's relative to public water supply wells and associated issues at 16 and 24 Central, or for those of us local, known as First Parish Church properties. And Kim Packard is here from Small Waters Systems. Do I have that right, Kim?
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you. And I have to say, as far as we got last time, it was very informative and helpful, and hopefully we can just continue on that path and come to some plan of progress relative to this situation. Now, in this, I may be taking this out of order, probably am, I apologize, but Barry, I seem to remember you saying that First Parish does have an intent to do some treatment of certain situations. And I guess that's a place to start to clarify what those treatments will address and what wells will they address. And before I go a step further, Kim, would you please refresh me and maybe others? Was well number one the Children's Church or the main First Parish Church?
Well, number one is the children's building, the
Okay,
children's church, and well, number two is the one that serves the main church.
okay, great, thank you.
Paul, at the very as we were cut off, you were asking the question of whether, if we were to decertify,
Right,
when one could get it back in. And the answer that we've been given on that is it would be virtually impossible, because these wells have been certified because they were existing and so forth. But if we do decertify, they basically would probably never recertify these wells again.
yeah, that makes sense to me. That's what I fully would expect from DEP. I mean,
Yeah.
just with cursory knowledge, yes.
They do consider those wells to be what they call pre-existing non-conforming.
Right,
So if you were to inactivate or declassify and then try to reapply, you would have to follow current guidelines.
current
And where they don't
guidelines.
meet current guidelines, there would be some difficulty.
Current guidelines would be an impossibility, considering the density that we deal with in the center of town.
That's right.
So with that
Bill.
being, Bill, sorry, go ahead.
So it would be considered new source approval if they were declassified. They wouldn't be given any respect as they had before as pre-existing non-conforming.
So we've only had a few clients with this that have actually tried to do this before. There was a lot of red tape. They will
Yes.
start, excuse me, they will start with the new source approval, but review previous documents, how the sources maintained compliance while they were existing previously.
Yep.
The restrictions that might be into place, the need for the public water system, the public water supply, sorry. So they would consider a little bit of the history, but it would be jumping through a lot of hoops to try to get them reclassified.
With no promises or guarantees. It's
Exactly.
kind of a dice roll situation. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's something the church really needs to think long and hard about, because in the future, if they did exceed the population that triggers public water supply, they might be in trouble.
That's correct.
Go ahead, Barry. I was just going to ask you what what you can tell us about First Parish's position relative to all this situation.
Well, the plan is to, that goes with the current request, is to do away with the well at the meeting house, which has nitrates and the other one doesn't. And that's the number one thing that seems to be the biggest issue. And so what we would do is connect the two buildings and put everything on well number one.
Okay.
Now, well number one still has PFAs and I believe manganese in particular that need to be dealt with. And Kim, you could make that clearer perhaps than I.
So the last well number one manganese levels were required to be sampled in the third quarter. We sampled in July. Those were non-detect. So there was no manganese detected in well number one.
Oh.
The nitrate level in well number one in July was 3.3, which is below the MCL. PFAS is still unfortunately a problem in both wells.
Yeah. And essentially what we have, as I understand it, the well number one has less that we have to deal with than well number two. And
Correct.
therefore we would consider connecting the two buildings so that we can get the water from well number one over to the other building, and that well number two would be disabled.
And then
the
you
fu-
would only be contending with PFAS treatment at that point.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I believe that they've already gotten an approval from DEP to connect the two buildings. Now I think that's correct.
That was part of the discussion. They did want some action items to be completed first. They wanted to see engineering plans for the treatment if you were going to connect the both.
Yeah.
So they were willing to say okay to that.
And if we ultimately don't decertify well number one, then we're going to have to do all the engineering plans and so forth anyway, in order to continue. If we decertify well number one, then we can do that same treatment, but at a lesser level and with less backups and so on, and thereby save ourselves, I don't know, $30,000-$50,000, but something like that. But that is that's part of what's held in abeyance on this as I understand it.
I would have to say go ahead, Bill, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, if there's any plan at all to continue the use of well number one as a public water supply and decommission well number two, declassification wouldn't be needed. So I guess that decision would need to be made before the Board of Health is asked to sign any documents for the state. And this is kind of a side note, but maybe off meeting, we really need to have a serious discussion about pizza night, because one of the items absolutely necessary for it would be a public water supply. So we're going to have to begin that conversation.
And as I see it, well number two, let's just take it off the table, because it really has no future bearing in this. Everything, all our marbles are on well number one, to do what can be done to make that hopefully continue it as a public water supply. And ultimately that decision First Parish Church is going to have to make, with whatever ramifications that brings, whether it's discontinuing pizza night and other activities, so be it. Right now, that's not a Board of Health decision.
Yeah. Bill, your statement about pizza night, I haven't heard that one before, so that I'm interested in your commenting further in that regard.
Well, it's been on the radar for a while, and it's something that's going on for quite some time, but to do it properly and within the realm of many codes, you would need a public water supply a septic system designed for food service, and a kitchen that meets current food code. And, right now we don't have any of those three, so we really need to talk about the continuation of that. But again, if it was something the church wanted to pursue, then, keeping a public water supply online might be the first step of three.
I mean, the reality is that the First Parish Church Kitchen is really has been the chief public food kitchen in the town for the community for quite a while. And essentially, you're telling us that that's going out the window if we decertify.
Well, unfortunately, it might be out the window already. Again, it's something that's kind of been respected over the years, but it really doesn't mean that it should be happening.
First Parish Kitchen has never had a food service permit from the Neshoba. They've been,
that's correct,
let's just say, flying under the radar, and through the graciousness of probably many people, that's what's been allowed to happen. And we live in a different age now, and we need to really look hard at that sort of thing to figure out what's the best path for public safety, public health, and for the continuation of First Parish.
Right, because it's really a potential liability for the church if it's not being done in accordance with appropriate codes.
Exactly, yeah.
Bridget would have to inspect that or something like that, Billy. And
again, you'd need a public water supply, a septic system designed for food service, and a kitchen that complies with current food code. And I don't know if that's possible on that site. We'd have to explore that. But again, it comes back to the public water supply being, possibly being maintained for the potential in the future for that to happen. Once it's decertified, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
I mean, there are questions relative to the septic. We have it. There are a number of things that are just unclear at this point, and they need to be dug into to find out where what is, so that we can move forward intelligently here and safely.
What kind of regulations, without getting too far into it, are necessary on septic for the food service?
Well, septic would be an exterior grease trap and potentially a system able to handle 1,000 gallons a day, which is the minimum flow for food service. Anything with a kitchen would have to be something discussed with Bridget. And there's a lot going on the church site. You've got the shared system that handles the 1870 building and 3 Woodward, that again is on the church property but not being used by the church. And I'm not sure we really know what's there for the church. So, it might be time to really evaluate that whole situation. It's been discussed in the past, but never really followed through on.
And I can say that I know Franny Burke tried to dig into this back in the early 2000s, and a number of things just fell through the cracks, both with the town, with First Parish. Consider it, I don't know, not to be, well, just consider it to be a grace period. History is history. We are where we are today, and we've got to deal with today and tomorrow. What's transpired in the past is gone. So it's like moving forward for First Parish, you got some fairly heavyweight decisions that need to be dealt with, as do the Board of Health and the Neshoba. We have to do this all in some form of conjunction so that we all get what we want. And I may be speaking out of turn, but I would be remiss. I wouldn't think First Parish is willing to, or would be wise, is probably more accurate to my thinking, to forego the opportunity of maintaining a public water supply and being able to do what they can do within their kitchen and within their property. But that's a first parish decision. I mean,
Yeah.
as it was stated before, once public water supply is gone, it's gone. And, you know, there's no 3-strike or 2-strike ball game. 1 strike and you're out. Yes, Sue.
Can they decertify just one well?
We don't
So-
we don't have to decertify well number 2 on First Parish property because that's not really a public water supply or anything else. So they
The-
can do what they want with that. And yes, Bill.
Well, actually, it is considered a pre-existing non-conforming public water supply. I think they're seeking,
Well
potential
number
de-
2 is?
Yeah.
yes. Yep. So, you know, currently the discussion is possibly decommissioning that. So I don't think it would necessarily have to be declassified. It was going to be decommissioned.
Okay.
But it is that they're right now, the
my
current
error.
application was to declassify both potentially, but they are both considered pre-existing non-conforming.
Okay,
The
my
better,
error. I apologize.
yeah, the better of the 2 is well number 1.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
Do we
And
know
I-
the depths? Do we know, just offhand, do we know the depths of either of these wells?
I don't know.
Could try and do a little research here while
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
because I know I got that somewhere.
I think we do. That well number 1 did have some tests done in regard to its capacity with water and so forth in order for the state to say that, yes, we could connect the 2 buildings.
Okay,
And of course, it already has the parsonage at 7 Carter on it anyway.
right.
So we would have all of our buildings on the 1 well under that circumstance. And I don't know whether that test included something to verify its depth.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I think I thought they had you know, the 24 Central Street's a drilled well. I thought we might have a completion report on that. 16 Central, I'm not sure we really have any construction information on that. Kim, you might know more than I on that.
Well,
Let's
that
see,
was that was a drilled well too, but it was done I don't know, in the late 50s or 60s. And I don't know what we've got for documents on it.
The most recent information that I have from the DEP uploading the annual statistical report has well number 1 listed at 94 feet, and it says well number 2 unavailable.
Yeah,
Try
that
a
sounds like
sanitary
to me.
survey.
My statement personally is that I think the church has already talked about some of the anguish that is reflected in the recent discussion. And I don't think we've ever had the statement that we'd have to give up doing all the food if we didn't have public water supply. So I guess I've got to, we need to go back and talk about that.
And Barry, I think it's important to realize that, you know, even with the public water supply, it's still something that needs to be discussed with the Board of Health. Because again, we really need to, you know, treat all activities the same. And again, this has been
Yeah.
on the radar for a while, but just hasn't been discussed, and this kind of brought it to light.
I think some of us need to have a meeting with you, Bill,
Yep.
to make clear to us all the things that need to be dealt with, and so that we can begin to decide what we can do in regard to that.
I would
know-
agree. This is probably new information tonight, so it certainly should be, you know, discussed and understood before
That
a
would be a
decision is
great
made.
first step. We need to do that. Absolutely.
I know that there is a separate septic system for the kitchen drain, and it's got 2 pieces to it underground out near Wooded Avenue, directly in back of the building, and so I'm gonna assume that there is at least a tank and perhaps a pit that's totally serves only the kitchen. And the bathrooms are on a separate thing off the other side of the building.
Yeah, it
but,
might be time to evaluate what's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Without getting into the weeds, those are things we're gonna have to look at, and there's some test holes and so forth may be required. but it's all in the effort to just put this thing to bed for once and for all. I mean, it's languished for a while, so time to deal with it.
Okay.
Any other information, comments, questions relative to First Parish and the water supplies?
I'm just curious, Kim, what type of time frame is DEP putting on this decision, or are we already beyond it?
So I had asked them for an extension to give any answers to the deadlines they put in the last sanitary survey, stating that I had submitted a declassification application on First Parish's behalf, and that there was going to be the last meeting with the Board of Health. I did tell them, due to technical difficulties, we were rescheduling and going to talk about it again tonight, and that the church was still wanting to pursue the declassification. I am hearing some things this evening that make me think we might still, Barry, want to work on some of the open action items that the state has, if you want to continue, because I did find the approval to decommission well number 2 and connect well number 1 to both the Children's Hall and the church. And there were a few action items they would like to see there. I know that their hot topic right now would be PFAS treatment. And as we discussed last time, the state is very fond of redundancy, which just makes things twice as expensive. So
And we want
one of
our
the
engineering
questions-
plans to be drawn and filed,
Yes.
which might not have to be as extensive if it weren't certified.
So that's one of my questions to the Board of Health. So the DEP would declassify this PWS and it would no longer be under their regulatory purview, but it would be something that the Board of Health could regulate themselves.
Mhm.
So you could decide that this is still a public water system, not classified by the state, but that it requires still to have a public water operator, to have routine sampling, that they put in treatment, just not under the same restrictions that the state has. It would just be something that the Board of Health would have to manage and review the progress of.
I'd have to talk to Bridget, but I think for food service, it has to be a public water supply, meaning DEP jurisdiction. And would
that
based
part I'm
on the
not
new
familiar.
information brought up tonight be a reason to ask for another extension?
Absolutely. As long as the state knows that there is some forward progress and we are doing something, they are okay with granting extensions up to a point. You know,
Yeah,
they won't give us years to keep tossing it back and forth and make a
Right.
decision, but they will give us more time.
yeah, I think there's a
Very
lot to
good.
consider.
Because, yeah, and we're active in conversation. Barry, I'm gonna ask you to initiate, round up property committee, whoever is appropriate on your end, to get in touch with Bill for a sit-down meeting, which myself and other board members may very well attend, just to make sure we're all on the same page and avoid redundant meetings,
Yeah.
which none of us really have time for or any issue with. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, is it time to bring the selectmen in on the shared system issue? I mean, if we're dealing with the site and all of its issues, it just almost makes sense to put them all to bed at one time. Because otherwise you might solve one problem and realize, uh-oh, we've got another. You know, I don't want to go too far down one
Well,
path.
considering that the 1870 is involved as well as a private residence, that's an excellent point. I would agree wholeheartedly. I mean,
Because
this
again, you don't
is,
want to solve one
this-
problem and realize that you can't, you know, you
Right.
forgot that portion of it. Because again, you've got a system discharging sewage onto that lot that might limit the church's ability to their gallons per day might be limited because there's already that discharge. So, you know, it might be time to really look at the big picture.
Okay, I agree.
Okay, we have 3 minutes to wrap this discussion up before our 7:30 hearing.
No, thank you, Grim Reaper.
Halloween's over.
I guess we've got
Sue
some,
knows where I come from. She's okay with that. I'll pay for it later, but
You will.
Barry, when do you think you can get back to Bill or us relative to starting to establish some kind of time frame of meetings?
Well, I would hope to work on it this week so that, by a week from now, I would hope we could at least have a meeting date with Bill.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Joni has my cell. Feel free to use it.
Yeah.
So on the
Yes,
point,
Kim.
Barry, on the point of satisfying the DEP's curiosity of what's going on, if I can apply for an extension for these action items, they're going to want a follow-up due date. So if we were to say, you're going to meet further with the Board of Health and then reach a decision by X date, that's the information they'll be looking for at this point. So I could ask for an extension through the end of the year to say that a decision will be made to either go forward with declassification, or now it's going to be decommission of well number 2 and plans forward with that.
That sounds good to me.
Okay,
And if we could get that much of an extension, that would be very helpful.
I can ask for the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
They will want an answer and an action plan at the end of the year.
Yes, yes, I'm aware of that that kind of thing, and this thing has been bandied about for some time without an adequate action plan, and that's one of the things that we really absolutely need to establish. The church has appropriated money to put the connection between the buildings in, and so I mean that one we can be moving on, but that doesn't really solve the issues on the well
no.
and the
But
certification.
the church has allotted for actual the cost of physical connection from one well to the main meeting house.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
we-
Okay.
we've got
Well,
$20,000 appropriated for that and whatever else it'll pay for in regard.
well, I think that's a very good piece of information. Kim, I don't know if you can use that in your conversation with DEP, but it shows some commitment on First Parish's part to
It does.
resolve these issues. And I think it
Yeah.
should be brought to appropriate attention. Sue?
It is now 7:30.
Can I ask 2 quick questions?
Go ahead, Bill. All
I'm
right.
just curious, is there any type of easement needed to cross the public road with that utility?
No.
I believe
and,
so, at least with a street crossing with the select board. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kim, I'm just curious who your contact is at the state at DEP, who you've been dealing with.
Paula Karen.
Oh, Paula, okay. Good to know. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kim, Barry. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Barry. I'll be talking to you soon.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, we have Mark Adams and Evan Carloni available.
Mark is 7:45. Evans for both 7:30 and 7:45, but I think it's just Evan at 7:30 for 52 Dudley Road.
Okay,
We got him up. We
Evening,
can see
Evan.
you, Evan.
Can you see me?
We
Yes, we can.
How's
Yeah.
everybody doing tonight?
Oh, there you
Okay.
go. All right.
There we go.
You changed locations on my screen. We're doing
Yeah.
good.
All right. Would you like me to screen share the plan?
yes.
All right.
No,
I'll
this
do
one's
that.
for Pleasant Street, or is this one the one?
52 Dudley.
Dudley. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
52 Dudley. All right. Let's see. 52 Dudley share. All right. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
All right.
This is the one we were going from 5 to 4, Evan.
Correct.
That plan.
Correct. And we
Yeah.
wanted to go to conservation and then to also move back a ways with the leach field because the existing field that we found was what's there now is 66 feet from the pond, and what we were proposing before was 62. Shrinking down to a 4 from a 5 and narrowing it out, we were able to get to 69. So we were able to pick up 3 from
yeah.
what's existing, and a total of 7 from what was proposed previously. So losing a bedroom helped us do that.
Correct.
So then
Was conservation positive about the change?
yeah, I believe that the notice of intent's been filed, and I believe the order of conditions have been
Excellent.
filed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
It was
So-
one of those iffy marginal things where, and I remember going back to 2 meetings ago or whenever it was, 3 meetings, that we felt Concom should weigh in on this, out of respect from Board of Health to Concom, where wetlands was nearby. I mean, we're not putting anybody out of a house. We just want to make sure that the most efficient system possible was being put into place, and it sounds like you've achieved that.
Yeah, we try. Obviously, it's a little tight with the wells, but that's not uncommon. So
Not uncommon.
maximizing that well and trying to get as much distance as we could. I think we tried to do that best we could with this
Okay.
one. So
And it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade.
So would
Yeah.
you just recite the variances that we're dealing with here, please?
Yes, absolutely. So the 2 local variances are the reduction from 100-foot setback from the leach field to the pond down to 69 feet. And then the second one, well, actually, it's the first listed on the plan, but the second one is approval of 2 total percolation tests instead of 4, because we did find that the material was consistent over all 4 test holes. So we've got 2 percolation tests on each side of the testing. Both were less than 2 minutes, or 2 minutes per inch or less.
And Billy, you witnessed those, correct?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Looks good.
Any comments, Bill, Board of Health, issues?
No, again, an upgrade in the sense that there's an existing house there, adding 1 bedroom, that detached unit does meet Title V, and
Right.
just needs those 2 local variances. Does have a reserve area provided, so it's certainly an improvement of what's there.
Yeah.
Offset to groundwater is being maintained. We're not quite sure how deep that existing system is, so getting that above groundwater is certainly a benefit also.
I'll make a motion if you're ready to
Go ahead.
well, I make a motion to vote for the 2 variances requested, and
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bobby?
aye.
Paul, aye as well. Variances are granted. You may proceed.
So I'll draft a permit and I can sign that for the board.
Yes, please,
Yes.
Bill. Yep.
And Evan, I'll be in touch with some minor just plan comments as usual.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
What was, Evan, off how old were you, how old was your walking companion the other day when I saw you?
She's 1.5.
1.5. Wow.
She's 1.5. Yeah, she
was motoring right along.
she
paying
loves it.
attention.
Yeah.
Excellent.
She took
Cool.
a real good nap after that too. She walked the whole way. She wouldn't. I tried to get her in the stroller before we went, and she didn't want anything to do with it. She wanted to go
Wanted to
herself.
walk.
Yeah.
Take it all in.
That's right.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark is still muted. I don't know if he wants to
Well,
speak.
that's 7:45, so we have a few minutes.
Whoop,
We got a few minutes. Yes, Bill, take it away, please.
sorry.
Next on the agenda, we've got 3 property sales without Title V inspections. Letters are drafted. I'll leave those for your signature, Paul.
Did you miss the last one?
Last one, Randall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I messed up there. I that address doesn't exist, and I don't know how Randall got on my radar, so I need to follow up on that. But
160, maybe it's 163. It's 161.
that's the address I had.
And it's next door. I know it exists, and
What's the address?
I believe it's 163. It
See,
could
the
be
assessors told me they didn't have a 163, and that's why I started scratching my head.
161 then.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Tomorrow I'll go and walk and look at the mailbox, but
Could you
Is it a-
text me?
Is it
Text me.
across the street, Sue, or next to you?
it's Sue Roach.
Oh,
Who's
okay,
Sue?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she moved.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
That's why it's on my radar, Sue. I think you told me about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
stopped in to tell me that she moved to West Boylston, but she's still gonna be our animal inspector till the
Oh.
end of March.
Very
That's
good.
what-
Can Evan still hear us? Cause he can. Evan, can you still hear us?
Yeah.
You can go.
No,
You're
he's
free.
on for the
No.
7:45.
He's
Oh,
out
I'm
for-
sorry. Oh, for
Yeah.
another one. My
Yeah.
bad. My bad. Okay.
Staying
He's
busy.
not- He's
Okay,
I
Sue,
hate it
so-
when we combine
Stop it.
two meetings.
So Sue, that's why that was on my radar, but Assessor said there is no 163. So if you see a mailbox number, text it to me and I'll follow up with a letter.
I'll take a picture of it. And
So if
text
we
it
can
to
just
you.
put that on the agenda tonight so I can write the letter and not have to drag it to another meeting, we'll call it Randall Road next to Sue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Let's see, we still got time. So, I think I had, Sue, I don't know if you have that letter, but Lot 2 Linden Street, I think I had forwarded that to the board. I don't know if you want to screen share it, but that's a permit extension request.
I had it at one point.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's coming up on its 2 years.
Yeah.
Title V allows 3 and a 4th by written request, so they're just asking right now for the 3rd year to be respected.
Alright.
This is Mark Sweeney, Lot 2.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Linden Street.
that's right. Yeah.
It's set to expire on December 21st, 23. So if the year is granted, it would be December 21, 24. And he's basically, indicated in his letter due to higher construction costs, he needed that additional time.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
Yeah, that's fine.
So COC 12/21/2024.
I don't know how much construction costs are gonna go down.
I doubt they will.
Have to put a little more in his pocket, that's.
Well, materials might go down a little, but labor probably won't. So it'll probably be a wash. And it's
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
you're going to
Yeah.
pay one way or
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Still got a couple minutes, so that is 32 West Street. Bob, you might recognize that address.
Yeah, that's my old place, yes.
So new system was approved, installed, inspected, but I never received any paperwork. Now, normally, if that house was upgraded and flipped, a bank would be asking for a certificate of compliance. I think it's being rented, so we never got as-built. We never got, any information on the Presby. So I will draft a letter asking for the owner for that information.
Yeah, I even forget his name, but I think he is
And
renting.
Molina's the last
Yes,
name.
Anthony Molina, yes.
Yep, and I've contacted the installer. He got me what he could, but it's really the owner's responsibility to get everything we need. So we'll send him a nice letter.
He's a nice guy, so, but there's some girl staying there right now.
Yep. Well, I figured that out with the assessors that it hadn't been sold once he bought it. So
Yeah,
that's why we never
I
got.
saw an elderly gentleman coming out of that place.
yeah, I don't know,
Immaterial. We don't
yeah, I
know.
don't know if she did, it's her father, if she was doing taxes or what,
Hmm.
yeah.
Don't start any rumors.
Yeah, right. I know they put the
So-
trash barrels in front of the door all the time, but
Okay. Still got a couple minutes, Bill.
Yes, EDS survey, I forwarded that to the board. Jamie had a soft due date of Halloween, but that's probably come and gone. I don't know if the board's had a chance to peek at that survey.
I did not yet.
No, I
She'll be
haven't.
chasing us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can find us.
Well, they must have got the contract again, huh, Bill?
Yes.
And,
Let's
did we
see.
have, excuse me, tobacco things?
Well, we're still moving through the permits. 51 Carter Street is a septic tank permit
Oh, yeah.
for an addition that's being done that exceeds the $50,000 value on building permit. So that permit's drafted and I can sign it for the board.
Okay,
That's a dynamic fire suppression company, I believe.
No, 95. Was that
No,
David Walker?
51 Carter is right here on
My
the
hat.
screen with us.
Oh, okay.
Did
Evan
you,
raising
Evan?
his hand. All right, yeah.
Denied.
We got an honest man in the
Denied.
audience. Excellent.
And next we've got 231 Sawyer Hill Road sewer line permit. They're putting a sink in the horse barn and they would like to tie it to their existing system. I spoke to DEP about that and they said that would not be a problem as far as the type of flow. They're just going to be washing out the horses' water bowls.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And they actually use human mouthwash to do it because I guess soap causes allergy reaction in the horses. So it's nothing hazardous.
Oh, give him a little alcohol instead. Yeah. Hmm. All right.
Knock them out. Yeah.
And
and we
tobacco
do have-
sales, tobacco
we-
sales, you've got permits for me to sign.
Yeah, there's 3 on the desk. The Charlotte River Road, Noria at Coolidge Road, and BJ's at Highland Commons. Yep.
Does that leave any others outstanding?
We're up to 4 out of 10. So if
Wow, okay, we got a ways to
usually
go.
in November we send out our maybe at next meeting or December we'll send out our reminder letters. Yep. Because again
Okay.
they expire on the 31st of October.
All right.
hey, it is 7:45.
All right.
So our hearing for 264 Pleasant Street, upgrade variance.
All right.
Evan?
Yep. I can take this one away. So 264 Pleasant Street. We are on the corner of Pleasant and South. Let me share my screen here.
It used to be the Hogan Motors, if you remember that building across from the post office.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, yeah.
All right. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is an existing multifamily. This is a geomat system that we have over in the corner as far as we can. We did this to maintain as much as we could from, actually we ended up maintaining full from wells, which was great
Oh, yeah.
because on site we were pretty close to the on-site well with the existing system, which was off of this corner back here. So the plan is to more or less replace the septic tank where it is, to then come down the hill a bit with the pump chamber and then have it pump across up to the geomat leach field up in this corner. The geomat we used just as a low profile option to keep it less mounded. But we do provide the full offset to the high groundwater table. We're not requesting any offset there. So
it's variance free, Evan, pretty much.
well, we've got some locals. We've got some locals, which I'll go through now. I'm just realizing on the on the list on this plan anyway. The other one I looked at, I had one additional one, which was also in the letter. But to go down the list here, we've got from the local regulation approval of one percolation test. We did see sand in this area, and we had a less than 2 minute per inch perk, just couldn't saturate it. The next is approval of an 11-foot offset to property line, which I believe the regulation is 25. And we're down here on the side, and it's just some tight quarters. We thought about going the other direction, but decided against that due to mostly the crossing of a water line and a gas line. And there's some nice trees here that we didn't want to take out. So it just seemed like this was a good option for environmental compliance. And then we've got, let's see, 14-foot offset from the leach field to property line, and that's in this corner down here. And I believe that's also a 25-foot requirement. The last part, which is in the letter, which is not on this one, but I've got another plan, which Bill, I believe you've got the updated one, but let me know, is the waiver from the reserve area for an upgraded system. Because ultimately, I believe if a system were to fail with the wells and likely wells to stay, this would likely be the best spot to upgrade if it were to ever fail.
Is this currently a system in failure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a
Is there
it's
a
galley system.
is there a construction or replacement time frame in place yet or not? Waiting on approvals?
I don't know the exact time frame. I believe that it's would be happening sooner rather than later, but I don't know for certain.
Okay, do we know how many bedrooms this property has?
5.
5? Okay.
Yeah. Across 3 units.
Yeah, we have the room layout, Paul. I don't know if that's available electronically, but we can certainly have it available for the board if you'd like to review. I did ask that as part of my review.
Yeah, no, I was curious. I know it was multifamily. I didn't know it was 2 or 3 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Me either, yeah. Huh.
And I
Yeah,
never
it's
knew
a
it was
brick and-
called Hogan Motors. I knew that they dealt with vehicles, but I didn't know Hogan.
Yeah, I remember the Dayton girl, and I lived there
Yes.
for a while also.
Yep.
Yeah,
Peggy.
Peggy
Peggy
Dayton.
Dayton? Okay.
Yeah. She was one of the last owners, was she, or is she still current? Oh, she actually,
No. Nope.
she's
That,
not-
that was probably at least 1 or 2 owners ago.
oh, no kidding, yeah.
Yeah, it's changed hands a couple times, you know.
Yeah.
Any comments by anybody? Bill, anything there?
Well, as you can see, the existing system, which is kind of a dashed rectangle over where the new tank is proposed, is currently within 100 feet of the existing well on this property and the abutters well. So obviously this location improves that situation quite
Oh,
a bit.
sure, yep.
Very good.
And actually the file on this goes back to Joni Berg and Chris Turner days, and it was a tough approval. For what was there, this is a vast improvement over what's there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, is this the first mat situation?
No, I went and actually saw a geomat. It was,
Was that on Whitney Street?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
that's
okay, I did too,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep, the new house on Whitney, kind of like behind the hotel, that was
Right.
a geomat. Yep.
right.
Yeah. And did the Lancaster Road one end up being a geomat, Billy? or
No,
not?
that's a fast unit with active treatment, and that is
Oh,
a
yeah.
stone and pipe bed.
That's right, yeah.
I kind
I
of
have
like
no-
geomat.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
certainly have a place, especially with the low profile and breakout requirements.
Bill, have you experienced geomats in Bolton or any of your other towns?
I've got I think 2 or 3 in Bolton, and there's probably at least that one, if not 2 in Berlin. Lancaster, can't
I did
recall
one
off
with
the
you
top
in
of my head.
Lancaster.
How
What's
long,
that? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did
how
one with
long
you in, yeah.
ago, how
Oh,
long
that's right,
ago
North
were
Main
they
Street. Yep.
approved?
What's that?
How long ago were they approved?
What do you say, Evan? About maybe 2 years ago? Was it
No,
longer?
it's been about 8.
That
Really?
long? Wow.
It's been about
I
8
guess it's
years. I
been a
think it was
while.
2015.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
maybe they weren't really proposed right away, and now it may be catching on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, the future will tell.
Yes.
Are we ready for motions?
I'm open to motions.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested variances.
I will second that, Susan.
All in favor? Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
Aye.
Paul, I as well. So motions approved, variances approved, and get on with it, Evan.
All
Yes,
right.
I'll get a
Thank you.
permit drafted and be in touch if there's any comments on that.
Great. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great
Okay,
night.
have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Down here, Billy, I'm down the vineyard right now, but down here, they're proposing anywhere with like within a quarter mile of a wetland or a pond, any of the saltwater ponds or ponds, the new innovative system that you can get. And I guess they're pretty expensive, but
Well, I'll tell you, the fast unit is becoming very popular because on the Cape and I'm hearing now on the North Shore,
Yeah.
they're requiring people, even with existing systems in use operating, are required to put that type of treatment in because of the
That-
problem they're having with nitrates.
Right,
that's-
yeah.
just what they're doing here, even if it's a past system, it passes. You know,
Yep.
there's nothing, no failure. They're making them put the
Correct.
new systems in, and
Yep.
they're kind of raising heck about it down here, saying, wait a minute, but hey, you know, they're
Well, it's quite a mandate because it's cost money and you didn't see it coming.
no.
But you need to be proactive about things too. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if
They
you
just
wait
try-
until everything's contaminated, what good is that?
Yep.
That's just what it's for. So don't turn the night, you know, the ponds green and
Right.
nitrogen load them, and you know,
Or even drinking water. Correct.
yeah.
All right, what's next?
Title 5 inspection reports.
Yep, those are both passes, 299 South Street and 317 South Street. 317 is the old golf range, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
299 South might be the house right next to 264 Pleasant Street that we just looked at. It's that house on the right as you
Oh,
pass
that way
Pleasant.
colonial, yeah.
The big old Natalie Wheeler's old place.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's being as you remember, that was being subdivided. So Title
Right.
Fives are required. We went out and did some testing to prove reserve areas for the existing homes, and we did testing for a new lot. So there will be one new house lot out there.
And I guess we got a big issue with South Street, huh? The bridge is falling in,
Well, the road is closed for quite some time.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It must be the old trestle with there used to be a mill there, and I know that one's a real bridge and the other one was like, you know, where the water wheel was. And I don't know, 25 years ago at least, we dug out the middle of it because it was starting to go. And I think Denny put flowable fill and stuff to try to save it as long as he could. But it's I guess I didn't get to see it, but I guess it's going, huh?
Well, it's the first crossing when you
Yes.
head off of Linden Street.
Yeah.
So before you get to Jones. Yep.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's not a Board of Health issue.
No.
No, it's a
Yeah,
traffic
thank
issue.
God.
It's a traffic
Not-
issue.
Not
Police
yet,
and
but-
fire issue, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Next up, transfer station. Well, Bill, do you have anything else? I don't want to cut you off.
I do not. Like I said, there's 3 tobacco sales permits ready for signature. And geez, I'm gonna have at least 4 or 5 letters, Paul, and I'll text you
Okay.
when they're there. Okay.
I'll bring a new pen.
Okay,
Good.
transfer station hours. Proposed,
I've talked with Stan, and this was actually his thought, because we've got somebody down there now that interacts with people, takes in input from residential comments and so forth. And when he said it, it was like, oh yeah, I really hadn't thought of it that way. But currently, we're open Wednesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 5. 2 days in the middle of the week, back to back.
That's what, yeah,
That doesn't create a lot of options for people. And Stan is suggesting changing hours on Thursday from 2 to 7. Because we do get people asking, geez, any way you can do something after 5 o'clock? Stan is more than willing. He's really kind of on top of this idea. However, any change in hours has to go through the board. And I did touch bases with Stan briefly late this afternoon, and he's still on board with it. We just need to vote on that, and then also decide when we're going to start it, because we're going to have to give residents,
yeah,
multiple week notice ahead of time.
Yeah.
Are there
Because
lights
people
down
are on
there?
automatic, and they don't always read the signs we have down there. And it's like Saturday, we're closed for Veterans Day, and I'm sure, even though Stan has had it posted for a couple weeks, if not more, there will be people showing up on Saturday. So it is
yes,
what
I
it
think there
is.
is a street, there is a street light down there that's on
Is
the
that-
pole.
Is that
Well,
gonna be enough?
we have lighting down there for
Okay, that's
after
what I was
hours, because at
wondering,
one
okay.
point we did go later.
Yeah, because it's gonna be dark, so that's.
Yeah,
my
it's gonna
concern.
be dark, but
Okay,
I have no
then we
problem.
can
with
always
it.
add more lights if we have to.
yeah,
Exactly.
If it services the town better, then I'm of the mind that the board should go with that. And it's not like it's cast in stone forever.
No.
We try it, see how it works. I mean,
Yeah.
we can ask Stan to do a vehicle count on Thursdays once this gets in place. And just continue it through the winter and see what happens.
Sure.
Um,
Like
you
you say,
know,
a lot.
I'm sure a few people will show up at 1 o'clock on Thursday and be disgruntled, and
Well, yeah, well, you're gonna do that.
it's just the way the public works. We're
But a
gonna
lot
have
of
to
people-
transition.
A lot of people work during the day and they don't get a chance to get there till later.
Well, that's
like you
exactly why, and they don't want to
Yeah.
burn their Saturdays going down there. They'd
Yeah.
like to take care of it during the week. So
Oh, well-
I think it makes a lot of sense.
How will this affect take it or leave it?
It'll
Next
be up to the.
It on Thursdays, it will affect take it or leave it. Take it or leave it hours may be changed for just 1 or 2 hours on Thursday afternoon while it's still light.
Yeah,
We'll have to make that announcement as well.
and get input from the volunteers if they're willing to.
Yep, see
Yeah.
how they feel. I mean,
Yep.
we're entering that time of year. The darker it gets, the colder it gets, and we all already know that we have a heating issue at the take it or leave it. It's not very comfortable in cold weather.
Oh,
That's why we
right,
shut
right.
down in
Yeah.
the dreads of winter. But I don't know. I personally think trying the change is a good idea, because over the
yeah.
years I've had a couple people nag me about it.
Sure.
And past crews didn't, they didn't feel it was appropriate. That's fine. But we've got somebody who's been down there now 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and
And,
I think he's got a
been a
good
great-
bead on the public and what the public's interested in. So I think we should support that.
Well, as long as any fill-in help can work those hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I'll
it's
make-
it's midweek and I'm sorry, so I apologize. It's midweek and typically it's just Stan. So there will be that occasion when our supplementary help will have to deal with that. And that's something we'll have to deal with as well, but that's a very good point. So,
My family eats at 6. Just letting you know. I'll make a motion to approve the requested change in transfer station hours.
I'll second it if you want to vote. Not yet.
okay,
Let's
I
discuss
think
it.
the only thing we should add is when to begin this change. And I'm thinking, my calendar, but I'm thinking December 1st or
December 2nd is a Saturday.
okay, so the first full week, that following week.
So
And
it
I'll
would
talk
be-
to Stan tomorrow, and if it's okay with the board, between Stan and I, we may vary that by a week or so. I want to get his take. He
Right.
he couldn't join us tonight for the meeting
Yeah.
because he's taking classes.
Yeah.
So,
And change, any signage has to be changed, Paul. We could just. put
yeah,
that all
there'll
up.
be some minor signage changes, one
yeah.
at the entryway and we'll look into making, well, there'll be signage change at the transfer station, but we'll also be looking at doing something with the blinky sign the town has to make it a
Oh, yeah,
little more
that's a good idea.
obvious.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and I can get it on the website.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
absolutely,
also,
Donna, yeah.
they can do it on social media or
Yeah.
something.
Let me
And he-
get back to you after I
Yeah.
talk to Stan relative to putting it on the website so we can have a
Yeah,
definitive.
yeah,
date.
once we get a definite
he-
date.
He preferred Thursday, Paul, over Wednesday, or? he thought-
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
and when you think about it, you know, people go from Saturday and then there's
Yeah.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
Wednesday, they can get rid of things
Yeah.
unless they're working. And then it's,
Mm.
and if they're working Thursday. So then all of
Yeah.
a sudden they're going from Saturday to Saturday.
Yeah.
And not such
Well,
a
I always
problem in the
thought just to
winter,
go-
but in the summer, I would think it could be an issue because of
Yeah.
smells, rodents, all that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, I had thought one time if it was, and it might mess up everybody's schedule also would be, Saturday, Tuesday and Thursday rather than Wednesday and back to back, but I don't know if that we don't have a hall going in there anymore, so it would just be, just an idea to speak to Stan about, but I don't know.
Yep, I hear you, and it's a thought worth kicking around.
Yeah,
Thinking if we make changes, we should do it gradually, and the first
Yeah,
change
right.
would be by hours on a Thursday,
sure.
and live with that for a while, and then if we think it should be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we'll cross that bridge down the road.
Yep, sounds great.
Definitely worth thinking about.
Okay, last thing on the list is transfer station, the Starlink demo.
Yes. What that is about is, we've been trying to get a computer connection down at the transfer station so as to enable us to have better communication as well as being able to accept credit cards. Because not everybody shows up with a check. And Verizon and Spectrum, I won't say they've been uncooperative, but their cooperation is very expensive. And talk to someone in town who's very technologically certainly advanced to me. But he said, well, Elon Musk has this Starlink thing and their satellites, and you buy $500 to $700 worth of equipment, and you sign up for the program, $150 a month, and bingo, you have computer connection, you have the ability to accept charge cards, phone calls work better. It's just a pretty serious upgrade, if you ask me, because I've been down there enough over this past year where I have to wander around with my cell phone to get connection. And in the case of emergency, that's not really a good thing. And this fellow brought down his Starlink, I'll call it satellite, whatever, receiver. And he made a phone call, went right through. Reception to the Starlink connection was perfect. So it seems like a very positive potential for communication down there and our ability to accept charge cards. And part of that is, one, we have fee items. Not everybody has a checkbook with them. Two, we are starting to charge more for items that go into the open top container because people really kind of take advantage and abuse that and think they can get rid of anything for nothing. And we need to start charging for that. And Stan's been doing a good job at coaching people to say, you know, this is a non-fee item, but it's in that category where we can charge. And, you know, some of those people aren't prepared with a checkbook. So we're losing some income because of that. Whether the income we retrieve fully recoups our $150 a month charge to Starlink remains to be seen. But I will throw in there that there is also a convenience factor for us and our residents. And I think, you know, we're in the service business and, you know, we're in Massachusetts and technology is kind of king. You know, I'm a pawn way back in the back row, but there are a lot of people that it's all about technology. And I think to serve our town, it makes sense.
And I think then we go from
Sue saw the demonstration of the Starlink. So go ahead, Sue. Sorry.
Yeah, in the demonstration, it was pretty slick. The receiver was no bigger than this. By this.
Yeah.
I'm glad Dave wasn't there because I'm sure we'd own one. And what else did he? I mean, the equipment was so tiny and a hookup I could do, it was slick. The other thing I was going to ask or mention is once we start doing that with fee items, we could sell transfer station stickers by credit card.
Absolutely.
And that would make it a lot easier, Donna, you just, you know,
Yeah,
slide that
there's
through.
two things with that. We're gonna need a computer because we're gonna have to be able to access the town website to do the not ePay. What is the how you
Whatever
do
that-
Where-
I
Right.
already sourced out like a 10-inch tablet
Okay,
with the biggest amount of memory. I think it was 64 gigabytes, and it was
Okay.
like $235 on
okay,
Amazon.
okay. And Paul, the treasurer collector, said if we want to use an online credit card, he could help us set it up.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm
So
just gonna
that's-
make sure, verify with him that
Yeah.
the tablet I was looking at would suffice.
Okay.
Sue and I
Donna
did
would
have,
know,
go ahead. Sorry, Sue.
Donna would know if we bring in $150 a month in fee items.
Right.
Yeah.
Sue
not
and
on-
I had a brief
Probably.
conversation with
Yeah.
the treasurer, Paul Redmond, so he's
Yep.
aware that
Yeah.
we're looking at this direction. So we've got to keep him in the
Sure.
loop to make sure that
Yeah.
you know, the financial transactions make sense for him and for us and how it's all handled. I mean, there's stuff to work out, but the technology part has been something that I've been working on for a year and a half and have been very frustrated by because of Verizon and Spectrum.
Yeah.
And
Now-
now we actually have an apparent solution.
I want to wait until June gets back from vacation
Mhm.
because there's the whole process of signing up for Starlink and being she's going to insist that we pay for no sales tax.
Yeah.
And so we got that make things difficult. So I want to kind of make sure she's involved in this process.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the only way it's
Would-
gonna work. Bill,
would
sorry
this-
to keep you hanging around. I couldn't.
No, I find this interesting because again, people do occasionally wander in asking about the transfer station. So I
Oh,
like to
okay.
be
All right.
in the news. Yep.
Yeah.
Would this allow us to hook up security like we were talking before, or you remember?
Everything
Camera?
costs money.
Oh.
Anything is doable.
It's just
Don't
there are
don't
different
have
levels.
a clear answer for you on that, Bobby, but
Yeah, no, I just
basically our coverages would be within a 2-mile radius of the transfer station,
yeah,
and cameras can
Bingo.
and could be added. Just
Hmm.
couldn't tell you any idea what it would
yeah. I
cost
just
or
didn't
what's
know if
involved.
this was compatible that way.
Oh, yeah,
That's all.
no, because it's one of the things that prompted this discussion several years ago is
Right.
cameras and security. We have different needs now
Exactly.
than we did
Yeah.
then.
I hear ya.
Security is not as much of an issue today as it was several years ago.
Correct.
But Paul's willing to help us set up, what fields are required. Like you
Okay.
need your plate number, you need this, you need this, you need this.
Right, right.
So that'd make it easier too.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to work closely with him
Yeah.
and probably June
Yeah,
to make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed.
yeah, because the reconciliation is gonna be different.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I'll get a list and then I'll have to match. And so that's gonna be a little learning curve for me, but we should be shouldn't be anything we
And
can't handle.
at the cost of $150 a month for the service, I'm not even trying to justify that because I don't think it's exorbitant, but
No,
it
that's
will
not.
certainly free up some of your time because we can do stickers quickly at the transfer station. You'll
No,
still have stuff to deal with.
I
I'm not
don't think
saying it's
it'll
going to
be-
go away.
It's not
but
gonna
it
be
may
per
some
se
less-
quicker.
What's that?
'Cause I'm still gonna have to write out the stickers and I'm still gonna have to have some sort of receipt with it. So I'm not sure how.
Well, that's
quicker
something
it's
we need to delve
gonna
into
be.
because if we can avoid or minimize some of that, that would be good.
Yeah,
But maybe we can't.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the automation of it.
right. But we still
it's
have
gotta
to
be
physically write the
beneficial.
stickers,
It's gotta
so
be
it's gonna
beneficial.
be, it'll be a
It's
learning curve.
Think of it as possibilities down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And if we
you
get it
got-
up and running for July 1st, that would be great.
And
the
today's
machine may-
technology is not going to be the same as tomorrow's.
Right, yeah.
That's all we know.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the credit card machines spit out, like a restaurant spit out the two you'd have a receipt to just
Right.
put in a box for you already, Donna, and then they take their receipt,
Well,
Right.
let me
Yeah,
let
we'll
me
see.
flash back a little bit. Is we've had a number of people in the last 6 months saying, "I never wanted to come down here to buy a sticker to begin with
Mhm.
for
Well,
whatever
yeah.
reasons." And
Yep.
now, if we make it that much easier,
Yeah,
are we going to get a few more people using the transfer station?
yeah. most
And,
likely.
and that's good for us from a revenue standpoint. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a cost, but generally the revenue works out. So,
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think, and Sue, this is something for you to think about more, is I don't think, other than the upfront costs, I don't think $150 a month should be a deal breaker for us to move forward into the 21st
No,
century.
I mean, because we were paying, what, $230 just for the old porta potty.
Yeah.
Right, and now
Exactly.
we're on 115.
Yeah.
And the phone, how much was that getting to be? Just remember when we had a landline?
Yeah, and our phone down there has been shaky at best.
It's
Um,
junk, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we shut it off, didn't we? It's,
No, we have.
No, we have
phone
a
down
cell
there.
phone.
oh, yeah, the cell phone. Yeah, I meant, when Chief Galvin was on, we,
Yeah, he
I
took
mean,
away the landline.
The fellow that demonstrated Skylink made a call to his wife.
Yeah.
We were standing outside of the transfer station hut, and
Yeah,
clear as a bell.
the call went right through.
Yeah.
So from a security safety standpoint, that was a big plus for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let
sure.
me tell you, the whole thing was slick. And it took about as much effort as setting up a new Kindle. I mean, it wasn't much more than that.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
could have done it.
Good.
It's pretty awesome. So the trickiest part is getting to sign up for Starlink and getting that through June.
For the whole system deal, yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
And being considered residential versus business
Right.
or municipality. So those are a little landmines we gotta walk through, but
okay.
Yep.
So
Well, that
from your
sounds great.
standpoint, and I'm not putting you on the spot for an answer now, but we really need to somehow dig into our existing numbers to see if we can start moving forward, procuring equipment and getting online,
we
because
can't.
I really don't want to wait till July 1st.
Oh, right,
if we
no.
don't have to.
No. We will start. June's gonna be back on vacation in a week or so.
Okay,
So I'm just suggesting we wait till then. But, I may have to start curbing your spending on other things.
that's a side conversation.
Stop.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn this meeting unless anybody has anything else.
No, that
Bill-
sounds like a
Bill,
good motion.
go
Bill's
I
raising
forgot to
his hand.
mention that assessor's request on the loan, so I think everybody
Yeah.
is aware of
We
the
saw
request,
that,
so hopefully
but-
someone can figure it out.
I'll look at it
Stop.
Monday if
Yeah.
anyone else can find
But I
it.
think June might be the key to that also.
Yeah,
Good
I think
chance,
that's-
good
yeah.
chance.
so.
Very good.
All right,
All right.
Sue, you made a
Oh,
motion?
yes,
I
Bobby?
made a motion to
I
adjourn.
second that.
All right, all in favor? We'll do roll call as usual. Sue,
I
Bobby,
Aye.
Paul, I as well. The meeting is adjourned and I thank you all. Phil,
right.
Good
we'll be
night.
talking to you. I'll get those letters signed. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on contact with the church also.
Okay,
Oh.
yes, please do.
Yep,
comes trouble.
That'll be an important meeting.
for
That'll
sure.
be interesting, yeah.
All right, have
Have
a
a
good
good
one, you
night.
guys.
Good night.
All right,
Good night. Thank you.
night. All right. Well, that'd be cool if we get